Show will be joined by the voice of the Cavaliers, Tim Alcorn. He'll talk about Evan Mobley making the all-defensive team in the NBA playoffs, and the future of the Cavaliers. And we'll probably talk a little baseball, too. Join us today after the baseball game.
Hi, this is the voice of the Guardians, Tom Hamilton. These guys are signed through the end of the year, so you better deal with it. Kenny and JT on News Talk 1480 WHBC.
Live from the WHBC Broadcast Center. Find out more about area businesses, agencies, and events.
It's what's going on right now.
This is Spotlight.
And welcome back. It is a Wednesday morning, and of course, that means it's time for Spotlight. And, you know, as much as the sunshine brings warmth and joy to all of us, so does speaking to this gentleman, Alan Rodriguez from Julz by Alan Rodriguez. Good morning, Alan. How are you?
Good morning, Pam. Nice to be with you again on this beautiful day, and also to share this next hour with you and your listening audience.
I'm excited because, like I said, it's always it's very heartwarming. I always tend to take a walk down memory lane when you and I get together and think about, you know, things that my parents did and my grandparents. And I think that's important. And for folks maybe who are, you know, have driven past your store in downtown Canton and have seen it in, you know, on Market Avenue before you moved into your new place, maybe talk a little bit about your history, because we always like people to know, you know, how you got to where you are right now.
Well, before we do that, I'm sitting here looking at your face on my iPad, and my flashback was, it was not too many years ago when I was sitting right across from you in your studio in the desk.
Yes.
And that would have been 2019, 20. It would have been 20 when COVID, in 2019. And then COVID hit, and then we had to get talk on the phone. And we didn't have, I don't think we had this Zoom thing. I think we spoke on the phone, and then we did that for a couple of years. And then this is the first time I remember I'm sitting right now looking at you. It's almost like I'm sitting back in the studio again. And
we'll get you back here. We will.
and so I think, you know, that's kind of a step in the right direction, because when we think about those relationships over the years, and it kind of ties in a little bit to what my profession is. And, you know, when people think of jewelry, and one of my wife friends this morning, Fred, shared with me, he said, you know, he was watching the coronation of King Charles and this past week. Yeah. And when you saw the regalia, the crown with the Cullinan diamond and you know, several $1 million worth of jewels, and we think of the formality of jewelry the way it was in the early ages, that it was something that was restricted to the very, very wealthy, and the displays of that typically through the monarchy. And then it was kind of weird, because I look at it this time, and I don't want to say it didn't seem relevant to the modern world that we live in. And anybody that's known me, you know, our DNA has always been not to show off, not to brag, but the symbolism of the jewelry we wear, you know, the stories behind it. And as I shared with you before we started, I had this past Thanksgiving in our new Philadelphia store, and at the same time, 5 generations of customers that were served by the House of Stones, which is our store down in New Philadelphia on the square. And it was so cool, because the 14-year-old that was the youngest one was given a piece that belonged to her great grandmother. And it was really kind of a very emotional moment, and it kind of symbolized what we're all about, at least in my profession, and something that is enduring and lasting and tells a story that transcends generations. Now, the sad part of it, unfortunately, she was the 5th generation, got sick with COVID before Christmas and didn't make it into the new year. But those memories that 14-year-old will carry the rest of her life.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, Alan, it's a testament to you, though, because, you know, you and I, we've talked many times. I always bring it up, and I even said it to you before we came on the air. You know, my grandmother went to a jeweler. Her mother went to the jeweler. My mother went to the jeweler. There were generations. I would go with my mom, and we all went to that jeweler. But, by the time I grew up, that jeweler was out of business. There were, a lot of places that don't have that anymore. We are fortunate in this town, in this area, to have a person like you.
Well, thank you, Pam. And it's something that, as I've shared with you before, I'm entering now my 47th year doing this, and which is crazy when you think about it. And as everyone knows me, I've always been a downtowner. I went to grade school around the corner, St. John the Baptist, and as a kid, I would hang around downtown. And for those of us that have been around here a long time, remember the early days of downtown. The favorite, the Coney stand at Dick's Arcade and all the other places, the movie theaters and everything else that we would see when we used to talk affectionately about the good old days. Now, what happened was I started my career right out of college in downtown Canton, and it just picked up kind of where I left off. And so when the time came, when we went to New Philadelphia, and the time came to look at a location in Canton, there was nothing really felt like home, like being downtown. And so we started off right there next to the Chamber of Commerce and on Market Street, and then had an opportunity to buy what used to be the old Ohio Bell Credit Union.
Yeah.
And I remember in the 70s when Ohio Bell was there, and he had 400 operators on the building that was on 4th and Cleveland. And whenever I think of operators, I think of those switchboards of plugging in, taking things out. And this was their bank. And so it has a parking lot. We moved into it. COVID hit 3 months after we moved in. But it has been wonderful to still be a part of downtown, and and it keeps me connected to my early days.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful location. If you have not been there, you have to at least stop by and check it out, because just the building itself draws you in.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Well, what's nice about it is that one of the things that makes us that keeps us going is our service department. And that was something I learned at a very young age. And when I first started my career, the store I was with had 4 watchmakers, 3 jewelers, 2 engravers, 2 gemologists. It was a very professional, when I say factory, that's kind of a rough way of saying it. But we actually made pieces, finished pieces, and it was a very professional. And that's always been a part of my background. And so when I bought the House of Stones in New Philadelphia, at one time we had 3 jewelers and a watchmaker down there. Now, unfortunately, when we talk about dying professions over the years, a watchmaker, unfortunately, there aren't very many young ones that are entering that profession right now, because it's a very labor-intensive, life experience, time-consuming profession. And to take a watch apart, if you had your watch and you said, "Oh, I want to get this fixed," when we tell you the price, so often they say, "Oh, it's so expensive," because it takes on the average about 10 to 12 hours to take apart a watch, reconstruct it, and then you give a decent wage to somebody that can work 10 or 12 hours, then all of a sudden it makes it hard to justify the luxury of getting that watch fixed. But when we say that, I think, and as you know, I've always been a storyteller. I had a gal that from our New Philly store that was her 100th birthday. And she comes into the store and she says, "Alan," she goes, "my husband gave me this watch 50 some years ago," whatever it was then. And she says, "I'm thinking about getting it fixed." She goes, I'm wondering, I have 2 questions. Number 1 is, how much is it going to cost me? And number 2, will it last me a long time? And I loved it. We talked about earlier, and I'm going to share a little bit more in the end, but about a life well lived. And the relationships I've made over the years, and the lesson that she taught me at that age, that the joy of living and the expectations and the positive thinking, of life lessons, especially when people are coming in their 50s and they're complaining about this or complaining about that, and this ache in their back and their ache in their neck. And I think of my dear friend Mary, who almost made it to her 112th birthday.
Oh my gosh.
But lived by herself, took care of everything. And she is is one of my top 10 most inspiring people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We're going to take our first break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Mother's Day and graduation and engagement time and all of those things that bring those memories to you and to all of us. And Mother's Day coming up this weekend. So stay tuned, and we will continue our discussion with Alan Rodriguez, Julz by Alan Rodriguez, and House of Stones in New Philadelphia right here on 1480 WHBC. It's an event for the entire community. Girls on the Run East Central Ohio presents its Spring 5K Run Walk event. 1480 WHBC and Mix 94.1 will be on site for all of the fun and excitement on Saturday, May 13th at Glen Oak High School. The 5K starts at 10:30, but there are tons of pre-race activities. Regular registration ends April 29th, late registration May 10th. For more details, go to WHBC.com or Mix941.com.
Attention all you dads and fellow kids out there. I have a message for you. Mother's Day is right around the corner, and we forgot to get Mom something last year. That did not go well. I suggest a quick trip to Discount Drug Mart to get her some flowers and maybe her favorite cosmetics. Chocolate wouldn't hurt. And don't forget a mushy Mother's Day card. She loves that. No need to thank me. I'm doing it for the moms.
Discount Drug Mart saves you the runaround. You'll find everything you need.
For 60 years, House of Loretto has been a haven of care for senior citizens in Canton and its surroundings. When the time comes that you or your loved ones cannot comfortably live at home, consider House of Loretto at 2812 Harvard Avenue, Northwest in Canton. Whether you need nursing service or the particular approach of respite care, the sisters and staff of the House of Loretto welcome the opportunity to assist you. For more information, call 330-453-8137.
Hey gang, the Roadman Kenny Rhoda here, and answer me this. Are you sleeping well? If not, then it's time to get a new mattress, and you can do that by heading to Northeast Factory Direct, Whitewood Street in North Canton. Northeast Factory Direct has mattresses made exclusively for them. We're talking top quality mattresses, pillow top, gel foam, everything mattress related. They've got it, and all for the fraction of the cost you're going to pay elsewhere, plus a best price guarantee. And if that's not enough, share the love this Mother's Day with a Northeast Factory Direct $1,000 shopping spree. Go to northeastfactorydirect.com/mom and share why your mom should be the winner.
Hi, this is Alan Rodriguez from Julz in downtown Canton and the House of Stones in New Philadelphia. Having spent 43 years in the romance business, I've been a part of thousands of engagements, weddings, births, and countless celebrations of life. Let our in-house staff of jewelers, award-winning designers, gemologists, and our professional sales team create an incredible experience that becomes a lifelong memory. Visit us soon at Julz in downtown Canton and the House of Stones in New Philadelphia, when it's just too important to trust anyone else.
Krause's 30th Street Patio Bar has been carrying on a tradition of good food for over 60 years, with original one-of-a-kind pizza sauce and dough recipes, plus favorites like chicken and JoJo's and the classic pizza topper. Good food with a full-service patio bar that's open year-round, where you know you'll find good friends and good service. Plus, $3 Bud Lights and happy hour from 11 to 6 every day. Krause's 30th Street Patio Bar, east of Market on 30th Street in Canton.
COVID-19 has cast a spotlight on the stark inequalities that drive poverty. The poorest communities in the U.S. and around the world are suffering the most. Oxfam believes we can put systems in place to protect health and livelihoods in the future if we work together with dignity and compassion. Learn how you can help offer safety to the most vulnerable and fight for a more resilient future at oxfamamerica.org. Sponsored by Oxfam America.
Anywhere fans go to cheer on their team, there are behind-the-scenes MVPs ensuring everything is game day ready. We see you, Joe, fixing seats so every fan can enjoy every game. And Allie, who keeps her stadium running smoothly from the moment the first game starts to the last play of the season. At Grainger, you're our MVPs, and we're always here for you with supplies and solutions for every industry and 24/7 customer support. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Now back to Spotlight on 1480 WHBC.
And welcome back to Spotlight on 1480 WHBC on this beautiful Wednesday morning. And again, we are talking with Alan Rodriguez, Julz by Alan Rodriguez, and House of Stones in New Philadelphia. And yes, Mother's Day is, just around the corner because it is this coming Sunday. And obviously, Alan is there to help you. He wants to be able to help you help your mom smile. And you've been doing that for years, right, Alan?
Well, yes, we have. And it's and when I think of that, my wife, Kathy, and I just welcomed this past week our 6th grandchild.
Oh, congratulations.
So, thank you. And Milo is his name. And Milo lives in Brooklyn. With our daughter and Frank, and when I think of that, and when I look at grandchildren, and I imagine this goes with everybody, it's always a flashback of when our children were born, and we think, wow, it seems just like yesterday, and we think of all those Mother's Days and how we celebrated them, and when we think of, the most typical was, of course, the mother's ring, that someone would come in and they would say, oh, I want to get the birthstones of all our children. Or we have our first child, and how can we create space so we can have another one down the road? And so when we start thinking of those things, it's that when you put on that necklace or you put on that ring, and people look at it, they go, oh, you have 3 children, and it starts the story about those kids. And while we still do a lot of that, we think of the birth of a child, we think of Mother's Day, and I've had several of them where the father will come in and get something for his wife, but it might not necessarily be a traditional family, all multiple birthstones. But let's say you have a daughter and she was born in January, and the birthstone for January is garnet. And so you might start off and say, okay, I'm going to get my wife a garnet ring to celebrate and symbolize our daughter. And so she has that. And then maybe a couple years later, you might get a necklace, you might get the earrings, and then you're going to have a collection of the birthstones of that particular child. And so if you think about it, sometime in the future, then the opportunity may come up where you take off that necklace or you take off that ring and you give it to that child. And then what she sees that you're giving her something that she's worn for, God willing, many, many, many years. And the time comes to pass the torch, so to speak. And that piece of jewelry becomes so much more significant, just like you shared earlier at the beginning of our program, the meaningfulness of pieces. It's not how expensive it is. It's what it means to you and what keeps you connected to your past. And that's really been the fundamental part of the DNA of both Julz and the House of Stones. And I'm fortunate because we have great teams in both our stores that are passionately committed to that same belief. So anybody that comes in, they're sharing that. They're looking at that long-term perspective, and they can relate to it. So it's always about the next generation and how we celebrate it. And it can be done any way you want.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Speaking of the next generation and also any way you want, because you've always been very creative with things and, open-minded. And do you see younger people coming in with new and different ideas of what they want or what they're hoping for?
I don't want to, when I talk about that, we grew up in a generation where our grandparents, the china that you'd spend 3 days cleaning the silver and bringing out your favorite china and crystal. That, remember the old bridal registries that you used to kind of go for, and then what happens is that it would come out for 1 or 2 days a year, and then now what's happening is that I have people coming in asking me, what do I do with this? because I inherited this from my grandmother, or and it was her china and her crystal. And they say it was always a pain in the neck because she made us clean as silver and everything.
The silver, awful.
I said, this doesn't really, it wasn't fun. And it really doesn't have a memory to it other than the bad memory of cleaning. But, on the other hand, and so I tell everyone, I said, we need to use those things. We need to celebrate those things, bring it out all the time. If you break a dish, you break a glass, that's life with it. But so getting back to your original comment is that it's really our responsibility to help these kids navigate through this, because it was something we have to bring a long-term perspective. They don't really always think about it right now at their young age, but as they get older, and I see it with myself, they become so much more important. I had a gal that came in several years ago with a ring that she'd inherited, and it had 2 diamonds, and her grandmother gave it to the mother on her 21st birthday. And this gal wanted to give it to her twins. We were going to take that ring apart and take 1 diamond for one diamond for the other for her 21st birthday. But she went to give it to her, and the girl said, it's too big, it's too gaudy, it's not for me. She says, I'd rather sell the diamond, put a down payment on the car for one. The other one wanted a computer, and so she wanted the money to buy a computer. And I tried my hardest to talk this gal out of making that kind of a decision, but she insisted on selling it. So fast forward 5, 6, 7, 8 years, this girl comes in the store, and she introduces herself, and she goes, we've never met. She said, but several years ago, my mother came in and sold you a ring. And she says, at the time, I wasn't, I was too young to think about it. And she said, but now I realize that's the only thing I have that connects me to my grandmother. Is there any way you can contact the person that you sold it to? And I would pay anything to have that ring back.
Gosh.
So unfortunately, we weren't able to make that happen. But what it illustrates is how we have a responsibility. When we talk about the birth of a child, it starts at a very young age. And one of the things that's been very popular for us for years and years and years is when a child is born, someone in that child's life, could be a parent or a grandparent, the father or grandparents will start what we call an add a pearl necklace. And what that means is you start with maybe 1 pearl or 1 inch of pearls, and then every year you add to it. And so what will happen is that when you're 18 years old, you think of the graduation picture from high school with the cashmere sweater and your pearl necklace and your, what's that beehive hair thing in the 50s? It's there. And there was always that classic pearl strand that you would want to complete. Now, what happens is that I tell them, some of them say, oh, I put it away in a safety deposit box. I'm not going to give it to her. She's 16 or 18. And then if they do something like that, it really doesn't have any meaning. So I've been on this kick where I say, okay, get this. And then every year on that child's birthday, you have a lunch date with her. And it could be a father and a daughter, or the grandparents and the daughter. You make sure she wears her pearl necklace. You go out to lunch. And then when you're done having lunch, you come to the store. She takes off the necklace. We add another pearl, another inch of pearls. And I can promise you, after 16, 17 years of doing that, it's not just the necklace, but it absolutely would be priceless in that memory for the rest of that girl's life of all those lunch dates that she had with her father or with her aunt or with her grandparents. And
absolutely. It's the experience, right?
That's exact, and the memories of those experiences and what connects us to that, but those pieces of jewelry. And so whatever it happens to be, and we've talked about, of course we have Mother's Day, and that's a great way to do something like that because it celebrates the birth of a child and you're honoring the mother with something memorable for it. But then when you think of graduation, kind of the same thing,
Yeah.
What happens right now, the big thing is, you give a graduation card, you put some money in the graduation card, and the kid gets, or give them an Amazon gift card that they can get online and get whatever they want. And I worry about this because 20 years from now, if someone says, well, what did you get for graduation? You don't even remember how you spent that money. But if they gave you something, and it can be the simplest little thing, If there's going to come a point in your life where, and I have my cross pen that I got, and I still have my silver cross pen that has my name engraved on it. That I have from when I graduated high school. That was a gift, and so it's things that we have that responsibility to share with the next generation. Because there's very little in life that you can have, that can go that long.
All right, we're going to take our break for the news, and we have so many more things to talk about. Engagements, and Alan will take care of you after the fact. We want to talk more about that. Again, this is Spotlight on 1480 WHBC.
Keep your water softener running smoothly with ProPix DuraCube Softener Salt from Ferndale Water Experts. Stock up now on premium DuraCube salt and take advantage of our buy 10, get 1 free special. Call Ferndale Water Experts today.
Ferndale's Water Center.
WHBC AM Canton, reliable as ever on News Talk 1480 WHBC.
From the News Talk 1480 WHBC newsroom, 3 Ohio men are facing 116 criminal counts for allegedly using drones to drop cell phones, drugs, and other contraband into 5 state prisons. The investigation began a year ago when a drone was intercepted at Toledo Correctional Institution. Charged are Robert Faulkner of Columbus, Corey Supton of Grove City, and Charles Gibbs of Sandusky. They're accused of using drones to make drops at Toledo, Mansfield, Richland, and Ross Correctional Institutions. Former President Donald Trump is found liable for sexual abuse and defamation in the civil trial brought by former magazine columnist E. Jean Carroll. On Tuesday, the jury awarded Carroll $5 million in damages. Trump, who did not attend the trial, called the verdict a witch hunt. His attorney promised to appeal. Studies in the United States claim seasonal allergy sufferers are around 1.5 times as likely to have major depression. The link is also particularly strong among women. The data shows an association between allergic rhinitis and hay fever or mood disorders like anxiety and depression. Researchers say, given that millions of Americans suffer from seasonal allergies, it's an important link for both doctors and patients to understand. The Cleveland Guardians were 2-0 winners over Detroit last night. They have a day game today. 12:35 will be the pregame. 1:10 the first pitch right here on 1480 WHBC. I'm Pam Cook.
Your severe weather station, News Talk 1480 WHBC.
Here's your AccuWeather forecast. A very nice day. Lots of sun. Our high today, 74. Clear skies for tonight. And a low at 49. Sunny to partly cloudy. Warmer day tomorrow. The high up to 80. And then for tomorrow night, partly cloudy, low 55. Cloudy day on Friday. The high 76. Clouds, a thunderstorm on Saturday. The high 77. Plan with confidence. Check AccuWeather.com. Download the free app today. I'm Steve Williams for News Talk 1480 WHBC.
Healthcare.gov is here for you when life happens. If you lost your health coverage because of turning 26, going off Medicaid, leaving your job, or moving, you could be eligible to enroll in new coverage now. And if you need to update your coverage because of marriage or having a baby, you could also be eligible. But don't wait. There's a limited time to enroll. Check your eligibility at healthcare.gov today. Life happens. Get covered. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Downtown Canton's hidden treasure is the beautiful Canton Palace Theater. It's the perfect place to catch a movie, local and national concerts, or various other live entertainment. To see what's happening this month at the Canton Palace Theater, go to cantonpalacetheater.org.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
back to Spotlight on 1480 WHBC.
And welcome back to Spotlight on this Wednesday morning. I'm Pam Cook with you this morning, and we have been talking with Alan Rodriguez of Julz by Alan Rodriguez and House of Stones in New Philadelphia. And, we've been talking Mother's Day and graduation. And, Alan, you made me think. I was sitting here trying to remember my graduation gift. And I know that my parents bought all of us a watch. And I remember because I then bought both of my sons a watch when they graduated, which was kind of an interesting gift because cell phones, they use their, cell phones to tell time these days. But both of my kids, they kind of thought that was pretty cool. And now my older son is a guy who, just like kind of collects them, so to speak. So he, loves to have a watch. And I think that's one of the most important things that people can take away from today and hearing you talk is, like you say, the relationships and the memories. We don't have enough of that these days. We just don't.
No, you're absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more, Pam, on that. And you made me think right now, we just finished up a watch for a gentleman to give to his son for graduation. And it was a watch that was given to the grandfather, I think, a Hamilton watch in 1955. And the Timken Company, for 25 years of service, if you worked at the Timken Company for 25 years, you would get a watch, showing that appreciation. And so that watch was engraved with his name on the back, 25 years, loyal service, the Timken Company. It was a Hamilton watch. Well, that watch was restored, and it's presently being finished to give to the grandson that's graduating from college. And,
oh, wow.
And he's kind of a watch guy too. But, it was for a while there, the watches were kind of on the outs because of cell phones and time and everything else. And now it's kind of cool and hip. We're seeing more interest than ever. And at the House of Stones, we have the Tissot as well, the Tissot watch brand, which is a Swiss watch brand, which I feel offers a great value proposition for the money. And prices start roughly in a $300, $350 range and then go up from there. We have Hamilton, which we think of Hamilton, the iconic name from the 1950s. And what's really cool about the Hamilton brand is Swiss owned now by the same company that owns Tissot. But they're nostalgic. They're kind of retro in the look. And so they have the vintage looking dials and things like that. And on the back, they're plain so we can engrave and personalize a message to them. And so timekeeping right now is kind of enjoying a resurgence. And for those, we also, you mentioned about your son being a watch collector. It's a dangerous thing because when you ask a guy what his favorite watch is, it's not the one he owns, but it's the one that he wants to get.
That's right.
Watch and he's got his eyes on. And so we're really fortunate because I'm a watch guy myself. And so, I'm always kind of finding these watches here and there that we restore, our watchmakers restore, and we put them back in the marketplace. And it can be a fun and dangerous, expensive hobby, unfortunately.
I love that, though. I love that. I do. So let's talk a little bit about engagement season. Are we in that season? Where are we right now?
Well, when you know me, everyone says Alan Rodriguez. I always say I'm in the romance business, which is pretty cool. And it used to be, they say, engagement rings, Valentine's Day and Christmas, which were the number one, number two. But anymore, we're finding as every month, and the same thing with weddings. Weddings used to always be in June and then September. And now we're starting to see them all throughout the year. So all of those are changing in terms of the time of year. So when it comes to engagement, when the time's right, and so a young man will come in, and he'll come in and doesn't have a clue because too many people have given him ideas. Hey, you got to get something. Go see Alan Rodriguez, and what happens is that he'll come in, and our team is really good about making him feel real comfortable, real welcoming. We don't want him to feel that he doesn't have enough to spend, because I've always said that the most important thing to me, and I've told this to everybody, when they give that ring, that the most important thing that they do is they stand tall, be proud. They've worked very, very hard. And no matter how little it is, it's the ring that symbolizes that love and that commitment to the person he wants to spend the rest of his life with. And so, there's so many ways of approaching. We think of the traditional diamond, and the traditional diamond is still the most popular. And when I talk about that, we talk about natural diamonds that come out of the earth. Now, with science advancing the way it has, you're starting to see a new direction of what we call lab-grown diamonds. And lab-grown diamonds, at first when they came out 5-6 years ago into the marketplace, they were maybe 20% less than the natural counterpart. So they really didn't have that much impact, because everyone says, I want the natural diamond. But then as the technology has evolved and improved, lab diamonds have gotten less and less expensive, and the prices, quite frankly, are still going down considerably. But it's a good, affordable way for someone that maybe doesn't really want to justify the luxury and expense of a natural diamond, to still have something that symbolizes their love for somebody that they want to be with. So where it's not a regular part of our business, we're always there to try to be creative and try to do different things. We're also looking at alternative gemstones. If someone says, okay, if I don't want a diamond, what else can I do? Well, when we think of something and a ring that's going to be worn 24/7, it's very, very important that it be durable and hard wearing enough to do that. So two popular alternatives to diamonds have been sapphires, because they're next in hardness. And sapphires will come in every color of the spectrum. We think of sapphires being blue, but I've got some rings that have yellow, green, pink, purple, blue, and you get the hardness of a natural gemstone, something that's very different. And when we wear that ring, they expect to wear it 24/7. Our service department, between both our stores, we run about 200 jobs per week. Which is pretty crazy. And the interesting thing is that 90%, probably 95% of what comes through our shop, we never sold. And so what we've learned is what works, what doesn't work. Why are diamonds falling out? Why are prongs bending? And so when we make our pieces of jewelry, we're very, very careful to do everything we can to minimize the risks of damage, because that person wants to wear it to the weight room, they want to wear it in their garden, they want to do everything, and we want to do our best to recommend. And that's where our professional team sits down, they talk to them, they find out how they expect to wear that ring, what they're going to be doing when they wear it. I had a gal a couple weeks ago that came into the store with her son, I believe, to look for an engagement ring. And when she walks in the door, I was with someone else, and when I affectionately say she flashes me, she puts her ring up in the air and she shows me her ring that I did for her 46 years ago. And the fact that she wears it 24/7, 46 years, and it's truly stood the test of time, it validates everything that we believe in.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. So when you are having, young people come in these days, is there anything that's more popular than others, like when it comes to shape or things like that?
Well, been the most popular shape. They call it the brilliant cut. But then we've seen trends. When I started in the business in the 1970s, the marquee diamond, which was a football shape, that was the rage. Half of all the rings that we sold were marquee diamonds. And then that kind of died off. And then late 1980s, you saw the princess cut, which was a square shape that became all the rage, and all for different reasons. But the round has always been there, the pear shape, the teardrop. And right now, one of the hottest ones is the oval diamond. And you see, the celebrity engagements, and what are they flashing. They're flashing an oval diamond. So those tend to inspire trends. And right now, the oval diamond is probably one of our most requested fancy shape outside of a round. And there are a lot of technical differences, but when we sit down, and especially in this internet world, when someone tries to get a little bit of information and they go on and they feel that they can go into the internet marketplace only to realize that all the differences that are there, and they really need to rely on the professional recommendation of someone like ourselves. And in the end, when you look at that, the old saying of "you get what you pay for" really applies, because when they see the differences, then they're better educated and they can make a more informed decision.
Alan, have you ever had a young man come in and get something and then sadly return to you and say, "Oh, it wasn't quite what she wanted," or "what do I do?" Anything like that ever happen?
We absolutely, yes. And so what happens is that, this Pinterest world, whenever the guy comes in, we say, "Hey, you guys, let's talk to our friends." Usually these girls have their wall, I think that's what it's called, where they post all these pictures of their dream ring. So a lot of them will come in with pictures from her Pinterest board. And so he helps us kind of navigate through that. When it comes to, a lot of times they go, "Well, I don't know her finger size." Well, because we have our own in-store shop, those are things that you go, "Don't worry about that, because we're going to make sure it absolutely fits perfect when you give it to her." But then if there is an element of doubt, is to say, "I don't know if this is what she's going to want. It's something that I want her to wear the rest of her life, that I want to make sure she gets exactly what she wants," then we're going to be a little more conservative with the idea. We may do a simple classic solitaire, and he presents it to her with a solitaire. And then what will happen is then she can come back, we can take that diamond out of the solitaire, and we can put it into her whole complete custom creation exactly the way she wants it.
Okay. All right. We have to take our final break before we come back to talk about some speaking engagements and things that you want to talk about that would be like life well lived. And we'll do that with Alan Rodriguez of Julz. And Spotlight will continue in just a minute.
Tune in each Saturday at 8 a.m. for the Money Matters radio show, now expanded to an hour long. Hosts Bob Foudy and David Ryan help you make your money matter. Find out how today's economy, debt levels, and policies affect your hard-earned money. Tune into the new hour-long Money Matters radio show every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. right here on News Talk 1480 WHBC. To speak to Bob Foudy or Dave Ryan about your money matters, call New Horizon Financial Group in Canton at 330-499-1915.
The fastest way to fix is Beck Electric generators and plumbing.
You don't want it fixed tomorrow or fixed next week. You want it fixed right now. And right now is the name of the game at Beck Electric. Our quick response approach to your service needs is what earns us so many 5-star customer reviews. The next time you need anything electric, think quick and think Beck.
The fastest way to fix is Beck Electric generators and plumbing.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
EasyCater presents We've Got Your Back. Up Singers.
So I order barbecue for a 20-person client meeting. EasyCater calls and says, "Hi, Sarah, you probably need more food for that many people. Want us to add it for you?"
Doing it for you.
I say, "Yes, please."
Yes.
Turns out they were right. Good thing they asked, because Joyce's meeting notes can be pretty sassy when she's hungry.
Look out.
client meetings? EasyCater has your back with over 100,000 restaurants. Order 24/7 on EasyCater.com and know
We got your back.
Hey, the Roadman Kenny Rhoda here for Kempthorne Mazda. And everyone knows the Kempthorne family has been part of our community for over 85 years. And now in their fourth generation, there's always a Kempthorne family member in their dealerships. And if you're looking for a new ride, you have to look at Mazda. How about the 2023 CX-5 with iActive, all-wheel drive, and available turbo engine? It will truly ignite the senses. Find the Mazda CUV of your dreams at Kempthorne Mazda and see the full line of great Mazda cars and CUVs at KempthorneMazda.com. That's KempthorneMazda.com.
Hi, this is Alan Rodriguez from Julz, the area's newest, most unique fine jewelry store, located in downtown Canton. What makes us special? You'll see it in the beauty of our diamonds. You'll feel it in the craftsmanship of our jewelry, and you'll believe it with the professionalism of our staff. From our in-house full-time jewelers to our national award-winning designers, our genuine desire is to provide an exceptional jewelry buying experience at Julz in downtown Canton and Rodriguez's House of Stones in New Philadelphia.
Wake up, people. You're optimizing every waking hour of your life, from carpooling kids to work to friends and everything in between. You have to get sleep and a bed that can perform as well as you do. Meet the next generation Sleep Number Smart Bed. It effortlessly adjusts to your shape, position, and movements, learning how you sleep so you learn to sleep better night after night. Sleep next level, only from Sleep Number. Save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed, plus free home delivery when you add an adjustable base. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
In business, everything your employees do impacts your brand, including what they wear. Cintas has high-performance workplace apparel for almost every job imaginable. From work shirts and pants, to polos and khakis, to Oxfords or t-shirts, these clothes move, breathe, and look great. Your team gets the styles they like, you convey the image you want. And Cintas service includes weekly laundry and delivery. To learn more, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
I'd rather ride a bike with my kids than ride in an ambulance.
I'd rather have a catch with my dog Curtis than catch pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with certain chronic conditions like heart disease, asthma, or diabetes, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Learn more at Prevnar20.com. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Anywhere fans go to cheer on their team, there are behind-the-scenes MVPs, ensuring everything is game day ready. We see you, Joe, fixing seats so every fan can enjoy every game. And Allie, who keeps her stadium running smoothly from the moment the first game starts to the last play of the season. At Grainger, you're our MVPs, and we're always here for you with supplies and solutions for every industry and 24/7 customer support. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Now back to Spotlight on 1480 WHBC.
And welcome back. Pam Cook with you on this Wednesday morning. And we are talking with Alan Rodriguez, Julz by Alan Rodriguez. And I'm just going to mention the address is 537 Cleveland Avenue Northwest for folks who are wanting to stop by. And also your hours are 10 a.m. to 5:30, and that's Tuesday through Saturday, correct?
Yes, on Saturdays we're open till 3 o'clock, but typically we'll open up at 10 o'clock Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then till 5:30.
Okay.
And then 3 o'clock. But if someone comes in and we're around, we're always going to take care of them.
Good.
You were talking earlier, and I told you I want to kind of conclude our last segment, Pam, with when I talk about a life well lived, as I shared, this is my 47th year in the business, and the relationships. I'm fortunate enough that I'm in a profession. I've chosen a profession that I'm as passionate about and I love as much as the day I started. And there aren't that many people that can talk about their lives that way, their professional careers. And anybody that knows me knows that's 100% true. My passion and my enthusiasm for what I do. But along the way, when someone comes in the store and they share, because we're an emotionally driven business, and people share a little piece of their life with you, it's a gift that they've given me. And those moments I shared earlier about Mary, my 100-year-old customer that wanted to have a watch fixed only if I could tell her it would last her a long time. And that optimism, that positive thinking of life was a gift that I'll always treasure with her. And I had there's stories, and I had a gentleman in our New Philadelphia store many years ago. He's passed away since then, but he was a blind man. And he came into the store because he wanted to buy his wife a bracelet. And I'm talking to him about the bracelets that I have. And then he says to me, he goes, "Well, can I see them?" And I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, this is weird. And so I put the bracelets in his hands, and he starts kind of comparing, one in his left hand, one in his right hand. And he starts telling me what he likes so much about the left hand one over the right hand one. And I'm listening to this man that saw more than I did in that bracelet. The way the hinging, the way it felt in his hands, the way the stones were set, the way the links moved, the heaviness of this, the finish of the back of this. And I learned so much about jewelry, and that from that moment on, I never looked at the same piece of jewelry again. And when we have new staff members, I go through that exercise that gentleman had given to me. I have them close their eyes, and I have them feel the links, feel the bracelets. This is what's good about this. This is what's not good about that. So that's a lesson I learned from him. And then I have another couple that came. It's my longest anniversary. It's 76 years. They came in to celebrate their 76th wedding anniversary. So if you do the math, they had to be I'm thinking 16? The guy may have been years, so that would make him 92. And
yeah.
Maybe in those days she was 14 or 15, so she would have been 90. And they were from Brightwood, which was a small little town outside of New Philadelphia. And they came in, and the guy told me, he said that throughout their entire life, there was always something that got in the way, that he was never able to afford to buy her a ring. And so life always had other priorities. But here it was on her 76th anniversary. He wanted to buy her first wedding set. And they sat down at our engagement case with the 23-year-olds that normally always, same place where they sit. And he was talking to her. She's looking at rings and trying them on, and chose a ring. And she says, "You like this?" And she says, "I love it." And he says, "Well, I want you to have it." She turns around and gives him a kiss, tells him she loves him. And I thought it was one of the most beautiful moments to see. So when we think of those stories, and that give purpose to our life and meaning to our life, and I'm so blessed and so fortunate to have a product that can symbolize that from generation to generation to generation.
Oh, and it's 100% true. And Alan, honestly, what you put into it is as much as what people get out of it, because you could go to the mall and pick up a piece of jewelry, but it's not going to happen that way, the same way that it happens when someone comes to you to purchase it. So a lot of you is put into it. And I think that's the extra special part of all of it. So.
Well, I'm thankful, because I was just at a wedding this past weekend, and I can't, one of the biggest gifts that I can get is to be such a special part of these people's lives, that people who I've just maybe met at the very beginning of the process. A fella that, when he first got engaged, he called me from Iraq This was 20 years ago, and it was like he was a Harrier pilot, and he was coming back to Canton and wanted to get engaged. So he called me, and it was like 2 a.m. and whatever it was, and I think to get that ring and to be invited to their wedding. And I think that really validates the value of that relationship and how thankful I've been a part to be. When you see some of our ads that say thousands of engagements, births, weddings, anniversaries, life celebrations, and I truly believe in my heart, there's no better way to symbolize that than a keepsake like a fine piece of jewelry.
Yep, absolutely. Well, visit Alan in downtown Canton on Cleveland Avenue, and we appreciate you coming. Have a wonderful Mother's Day weekend.
Thanks so much. Great to be with you and the listening audience, and enjoy the rest of the week. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Verndale Water Experts. Call Verndale's today and take advantage of our twin tank